Welcome back to another episode of Supernatural Stories. For today, we have a scary encounter from Lim Chu Kang Cemetery, and the story is from Zai. Let me pull up the episode. Okay, the story starts here. Hi, my name is Zai, and I like to go adventure to scary and haunted places with my friends. So, one day, me and my two other friends, Bob and Joe, wanted to go adventure to a haunted place which have a lot of stories, and that place is Lim Chu Kang Cemetery or Pusara Aman Cemetery. So, we all meet up after work, like around 11 p.m. in the middle of the night at Bedok. While riding, we rode through the highway, having one or two pit stops before arriving at our destination, Pusara Aman. When riding there, at the road leading towards the cemetery, Jalan Bahar, I can already feel the creeps as there is no car on the road. And when we arrive at the mosque outside the cemetery, we all said, let's make a challenge. Let's all ride through the cemetery slowly and then go through the old cemetery and take rounds. So, agreeing with all our plans, we rode into the cemetery, enjoying ourselves with my friends, riding through the cemetery late night in the dark. And then one of my friends, Bob, said, "Hey guys, want to go and challenge or not? Who can tahan the most in the shelter over there beside the cemetery?" So me and Joe said, "Bro, you crazy so dark." Then Bob said, "Bro, don't scared if not you pussy or what?" So with our ego now up and not wanting to be a scary cat, we all played scissors, paper, stone. Scissors, paper, stone. Scissors, paper, stone. Scissors, paper, stone. After a few rounds, Bob lost the challenge. So because Bob lost, Bob went to the sheltered area, which is 15 meters away from us where we parked, which is on the road. So we were there 15 meters away looking at Bob and thinking like, "Bro Joe, Bob is crazy, man. Inside this dark place and playing with this scary challenge, this is crazy." Joe was like, this Bob, yeah, is like that. Suddenly, me and Joe heard dogs barking behind us. And when we looked, there was nothing there. We even took out our phone torchlight to shine around to see if there were dogs. But what we saw was nothing. Suddenly, the dog sounds come from the left and the right. We can hear dogs barking surrounding us, but we do not see anything. Not feeling good already, and it was a good 5 to 10 minutes. I told Joe, "Bro, want to pack up or not?" He also said he don't feel so good also. Suddenly, both of us heard a faint crying noise, sounding like a woman crying. After that, when we hear the crying noise, what I did was I looked at Joe and Joe looked at me, not saying much, but we can know that we both heard the same thing through our eye contact and not saying anything, because we both believe that we do not want to acknowledge the sound, because people always say jangan tegur. After a while, listening to it, it stopped. Then the terrifying thing happened, which is the worst. Joe suddenly pushed me and asked me, "Hey Zai, you see or not? Behind Bob like got one girl." At that point, I had goosebumps running down my spine, because what I saw behind Bob at the shelter was a lady in white with long black hair. At that point, what I do was panic and breathing very hard. After I froze for a few seconds, we shouted at Bob. We shouted as loud as we can, "Bob! Bob! Bob! Go Bob! Bob, let's go Bob! Give Bob!" But Bob did not want to follow what we said. He said, "It was just a while only. Oh, chill lah guys." Then we shouted again, "Bob! Bob, jangan lah Bob! Bob, let's go Bob! Don't stay away Bob." Finally, Bob said, okay lah. Then Bob suddenly froze before he get onto his motor where he parked in front of the shelter. What he did was he went on his motor and went towards us. But before reaching us at 10 meters, the stupidity of Bob suddenly stopped. And when he looked back, because he seen the fear on our eyes, what he see was the lady in white with long black hair, and he shouted as loud as he can, and the thing flew up on top of the shelter. At that point, we shouted, "Bob! Ciao Bob!" He straightaway quickly get on the bike again and rev towards us. We sped all the way out of the graveyard, but while riding out of the graveyard, we all heard the same thing. out of the graveyard, we could hear rustling by the trees. Then when we reached the main road, we regrouped and said, "Bro, you guys see or not?" "What?" "We all see." We asked Bob, and I asked Joe. They all said, "Bro, what we saw was crazy. We all don't talk about this. We go all the way back, then we can talk about this." So what we all did was we rode all the way back to Bido, but we planned not to go back home until sunrise. Luckily, nothing followed me home, but while riding back from the area, which is Jalan Bahar, my motor felt a bit heavy, as if like there is something on top of it. Thank you. And that was the story from Zai at Jalan Bahar, which is the Lim Chu Kang Cemetery. Thank you, Zai, for that amazing ghost story. And thank you for watching this episode of Supernatural Stories. Good night.